what is your plan in order to tackle so much benefits that the banks are banking on?
Well, thank you for the question. And the numbers don't lie. Canadians are more indebted than ever before. Our household debt is the highest in the G7, and that's the result of liberal policies which have increased of inflationary spending and job-killing policies. So we've seen record levels of debt in the last 10 years. So the government has more than doubled its federal debt, and that's has driven inflation up. So people's take-home pay is eroding, and we see this specifically in Canada. Our other G7 countries, our allies like UK, US, France, for example, they have seen their incomes go up and catch up with inflation. So despite inflation, their incomes have still gone up. Canada is the only G7 country whose income has gone down per capita. So Canadians are, in fact, getting poorer. They're making less money, and the money is not going as far as it once did. And we see this in higher household debt, because people still have to make their mortgage payments, still have to pay rent, and still have to pay their car payments. But when it comes to consumer debt, then they start missing credit card payments and all that, and that's what's ramping up all the household debt. So Conservatives believe in getting spending under control, and bringing home jobs, so that and strengthening the take-home pay for everyday Canadians.
What kind of the deal are you satisfied with between Canada and the United States? How about the next CUSMA negotiations?
Well, thank you for the question. And when it comes to trade, it's Conservatives, we're not at the negotiating table like Mark Carney and his cabinet is. We've actually offered many times throughout the summer to work with the Liberals. They're the ones in government, they're the ones in cabinet, and directly having those conversations. We've offered to help. They have not accepted our help. Mark Carney has promised that he'll have a trade deal done by July. And so it's 3 months later now. We're now in October, and we still don't have a trade deal. Our tariffs have gone up. So tariffs like on aluminum, on steel, and a number of other sectors have gone up actually, and it's gone up about 2 times higher than it once was. So not only does he not have a trade deal, it's actually, tariffs have actually gone worse, and we see plants shutting down, lumber mills shutting down. Pretty much every week we see a headline like that, and each of these headlines aren't just a news article. It's hundreds of jobs lost, sometimes even thousands of jobs, and those are thousands of families that once had a paycheck and now they're out looking for work and they don't know where to go. And that's what the Mark Carney's failure to deliver a trade deal has done for Canadians.
Canada ranks among the top 5 countries in the world in terms of natural resources. How come that the people of Canada are so much poor? What is in your policy in order to make the ordinary Canadians live better?
Well, that's a wonderful question when it comes to energy and mines. We have an abundance of natural resources in Canada. And in the Conservative Party, we have always been in favor of policies and campaign on policies that would get our resources out of the ground and get them to markets. So we see now the effects of not developing our natural resources. The Liberals have been blocking it time and time again for the last 10 years. Is now we're relying on the U.S. And it's playing out in ways that that makes us incredibly dependent on the U.S. So it's all about getting the energy to the market. So the Liberals have brought forth a no new pipelines law, which is basically an environmental assessment, which makes it virtually impossible to build new pipelines. We want pipelines going in pretty much every direction so that we're not dependent on the US. Right now, most of our product goes to the US. We want to have refining capabilities as well, so that we can get our and also LNG, because LNG is the way we produce in Canada is one of the cleanest, and it can replace dirty dictator oil. LNG is cleaner by quite a bit. It's twice as clean as oil. So we could be supplying it, and there's markets already. We see manufacturing sector get hit pretty hard by the tariffs, and it's hard to find new markets. It takes time to find. You got businesses, supply chains have to coordinate. But when it comes to energy, we know there is already a market. Look at the war that's happening in Ukraine. Europe is asking for our LNG, and they have been for many, and also in Asia, countries like Japan, they have been asking for our LNG for many years now, and the Liberal government has turned them down. So by getting our resources to market, we can really bring about prosperity. There's all the jobs that it comes with, and it's something that we can produce at a relatively affordable cost, right? So now we have energy being purchased by these countries, Europe and Asia. They're purchasing from the US. So clearly there's a market case to ship from North America. If it costs a certain amount to transport energy from the US, it should be roughly the same to transport it from Canada. And so the no new pipelines law, the second law is the the tanker ban that the Liberals have brought in, which restricts the amount that we can transport on tankers, and then the industrial carbon tax, which is taxing producers, and also the production cap. So they call it the emissions cap, but it's really a production cap that restricts the amount of production on our energy products that ultimately Canada relies on. Where we want a diversified economy, but we can't just put aside our energy industry.
We are selling our oil like $25 per barrel, less than market price, while we are purchasing from Saudi Arabia at the live price. There is not enough refineries in Canada. How would you tackle that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and we need to get our products to market so that we're not dependent on, so the world isn't dependent on dirty dictator oil. And we got to get the permitting. The government is in the way right now to build. There's clearly a business case to buy our product, whether it's oil or LNG. And so, for example, just as an example, I know this is not about oil, it's about mines. It takes 19 years right now on average. This is not an anecdote. This is on average 19 years to get a mine approved in Canada. Think about it. Why would a company, whether it's a Canadian company or an overseas company, want to invest in Canada and spend billions of dollars building out the infrastructure when they don't know if they're going to get a permit? So we need to we need a faster permitting system with one set of reviews and a shorter time frame, so that we build confidence in the business community, so they want to invest in Canada. And the result of that is, tens of thousands of jobs in the sector, from traditional sort of blue collar jobs all the way to white collar jobs. All kind of jobs will spin off from investments like these.
How would you make the housing better nowadays?
Yeah, Canada is seeing a record housing prices. Housing prices seem to keep climbing over the last 10 years, while wages aren't catching up. And it's a lack of supply, right? So the supply of housing right now is not meeting the demand. That is part of it. The demand is from immigration, and so we need to tie our immigration levels to housing. And secondly, we need to make sure that the municipalities aren't taxing the homes to the point where builders can't build. We know that depending on the municipality, anywhere between 30 to 40% of the cost of building a new home goes to municipal and taxes, government taxes and levies. They have a different name wherever you go, but essentially it's going to the government. So you would think that it's the cost of the land or the cost of labor or the construction materials that would form the biggest cost of the homes, but it's actually government bureaucracy. So we didn't make sure we get bureaucracy out of the way and entice the municipalities to build homes based on results. The Liberal way of doing it has been just cutting checks to the municipalities and hoping they will permit homes. But what we've seen in many municipalities, whether it's Toronto, City of Ottawa, and a number of other municipalities, is they take the money from the federal government, and then once the check clears the bank account, the next day they would, the municipalities would increase development charges, so the taxes that they would charge on building new homes. So we want to make sure we cut taxes on homes, and also cut the GST on all new homes. I mean, the Liberals took a page out of our platform and want to cut the GST for the first $1 million on a new home. Our platform is cutting 5% the GST on the first 1.3 million on all homes. I mean, think about it. If you're a young person and you just bought a home, and then let's say you got a job in a new city, you can't, now you have to sell your existing home and buy a new home. Well, now you have to pay the GST. So we want a system that works, and we want to basically bring the housing market back to levels that could be within reach, because home ownership ultimately is part of the Canadian promise. It's why people from all parts of the world come to Canada, because they can buy an affordable home and live on safe streets and have secure borders. And all you need to do is have a strong work ethic and work hard and follow the rules, and you're able to achieve the Canadian promise. So, and home ownership is a key piece of that.